All right, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you watching, you are DIYers, if you are watching this, who know nothing about construction and want to learn construction and learn how to use tools starting from scratch. So today, I'm going to show you all how to use circular saws. So a circular saw for construction is a staple. So this is one of the most versatile tools. It allows you to cut wood. It allows you to cut concrete if you have a particular type of saw. We use a Skilsaw 77, but there are other ones. And it's great just for if you need to cut drywall, wood, anything you pretty much need to cut, you can do it with this. It's not always the most efficient when it comes to cutting, say, plywood. If you're making long cuts, you can do it, not the most efficient, but it'll allow you to do it. So today what we're going to do is I'm just going to show you how to set up the saws. There are a lot of different types of saws. You can get corded saws, which you plug in. You can get cordless saws, which use batteries. Any saw that you get, though, you're going to have to set it up and you're going to have to know how to use and operate it from a basic standpoint. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to install the saw blade. This is a saw blade we've already used. I got this one so that you guys could see how to install a saw blade from the start. So the first thing, don't mind the helicopter. First thing you need to know is what size saw blade you need. So this is a Dewalt cordless. A lot of cordless ones use 7 1/4 inch saw blades. Here it says 7 1/4 inch, but typically when you buy it, you'll know. But starting from scratch, you have the saw. You're gonna get it, you're gonna take it out of the box. Sometimes they have the saw blades installed, sometimes they don't. Either way, once you use a saw blade for a while, it gets dull, so you're gonna need to replace it. So on every saw, you're going to have a tool. Now they look different and they're located in different places, but typically it's on the rear of the saw. One note, whether you're using a cordless saw or a corded saw, always make sure it's unplugged or the battery is out before you do anything with respect to the blade. So back to what I was saying. So on this one, you have your tool in the back, and what this tool allows you to do is take the saw blade on and off by loosening this nut. This is a Ryobi, that's a Dewalt, this is a Ryobi. It's a much more consumer grade, not really a professional grade. So here, the tool is there. You can put it in. That will allow you to change the blade out. Again, we have a couple of Skilsaws there. They're the same as the Dewalt in that their key is in the back. This is a much larger framing circular saw, but same thing. You have your key back here, and that's going to allow you to take the blade off. So once you've located the key here and you have your saw blade, now you're going to need to install this saw blade. Very important, always look for the rotation. So it shows the rotation going this way. If you look on the saw itself, you see the rotation. But as a general rule, you don't even necessarily need to have those arrows located for you. I'll tell you the best way to know. The edges of your saw blade, the sharp part, when they are installed on the saw, they're going to go up like that. Sort of counterintuitive in that you would think that it would go that way because it would be a lot smoother, but you want your saw blade to come up, and that's going to make the cuts. As you push forward, it's going to go up. Same thing here. If you look at it installed, you can see once it starts rotating, the sharp teeth are going to go up. So that's one good way to know it. So if not, you can also reference, which is probably a smarter way, you can reference the symbols that show you which way. So on this saw, I'm going to take my tool, and here, that's where I put this key that's going to allow me to twist this nut. Now on every saw, again, this is the important part. You see right here, this stops the blade once you get it put on. So first, and that allows you to tighten it, and you'll also need that to take it off. But first I unscrew this nut, and then there's also a second piece. This sits flat against the saw blade. You'll have it on every single one of them. Sometimes they look different, sometimes they're circular, sometimes the inside is circular, sometimes it's a rectangular type shape like that. What I'm going to do, every saw has a blade guard on it. right? So you're looking here, same thing on this Ryobi. You have a blade guard, both the Skilsaws, same thing. So you're gonna need to locate this guard, which is gonna be right next to it, and that will allow you to put this on. Again, we want the teeth going up, shows us the rotation, there, you match those. So now we're gonna slip saw blade on. As you see it, it fits. Sometimes there will be a knockout. You do not knock that out if you don't need to, and you can see how it fits in whether or not you'll need to. Now I'm gonna take this piece, the piece that fits flat against the blade. I'm gonna make sure it's in place. Now, I'm gonna take a screw and I'm gonna screw it in. Now to tighten it, so the blade moves but it's not tight. As you see, this stays still when I move the blade. This is where this piece comes in. So that's your blade stop. That allows you, as you tighten it, you hold that in place, and as you tighten the blade, as you tighten this nut, it keeps the blade from moving. If I let go of that, you'll see, so I'm not touching it now, the blade moves, so I can't tighten it because it would just keep moving. Now an important thing, the blade has to rotate a little bit before this will engage. When you push on it and you rotate the blade, you'll feel it when it stops. As you're pushing it down, it sort of sinks into like a notch and it stops the blade. So once you get that on there, you keep that pressed in and you tighten it till you can't tighten it anymore. Now your blade is ready to go. Again, very important, do not do this with the battery in. Don't do it on the cordless ones. On the corded ones, do not do it when you have your power hooked up. Okay, so now you've located the blade guard. You know how to put the blade on. While we're here, let me show you how to take it off. Again, once you need to switch it out, I have the button pushed, which is my blade stop. See it clicked a little bit. Now I can unscrew it till I can unscrew it by hand. Take this piece out. Move my blade guard. Take it out. So now I'll put another blade on just real quick. It's a blade we've already used. And sometimes you have to fumble with it, right? It's not always easy to get on. Now, keep this in mind. This was a smaller blade that I just switched out. That was 6, let's see, what is it? 6 1/4 or 6 1/2. The rule of thumb is you can always go with a smaller blade, but you can't go with a bigger blade. So this is a 7 1/4 inch circular saw. So I can go higher, or excuse me, I can go lower, I cannot go higher. So when you get into Home Depot, Lowe's, your local hardware store, there are going to be a lot of blades. If you're 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch off, as long as it's smaller, that's okay. It can be confusing, so I just want to make sure you know that. I know there are a lot of helicopters and a lot of police sirens, but this is not as much of a crime-ridden area as it probably sounds like. So now, put the tool back in. I move my blade guard, and this sits flat. Now,